Greetings and welcome to Paint Here Now. I am Will Parody. Today we are going to add yellow and purple and white to this piece. Why are we going to do that? Because yellow and purple are complementary colors, and we have been adding complementary colors to this piece since we started painting this piece with red and green and white, a couple kinds of red and green and white, and that's where we got our first base. Then we added some blue and orange to get some more grays and different blues, obviously, and different shades. And now we're going to add the next pair of complementary colors, which is yellow and purple. To finish off the piece, make something on here, add a little bit more maybe in the clouds, and just, it's all an exercise, an example to see of what the different complements do and how you can layer a piece this way. We have our ice cube tray and some various brushes that we might use. Something like that. There's a couple purples in here and a couple yellows, some fluorescent, which helps. So we've been having fun on this and enjoying seeing what happens, and I guess we'll continue to enjoy seeing what happens now. So let's get to painting. All right, well, let's start with adding some white. Where do I want to begin, really? I want to add a little bit of cloud coverage. So I'm taking some white with some water, just mixed on the edge of my container here, and just adding a few little areas immediately where I might want some white. Blend in, and then what I'll do is, for the sake of showing you on this and where we're at with the piece, I'll show you what mixing a little bit of gray looks. So I'm using a little bit of the warmer gray, actually, or the warmer purple. Do I want to do that? With a little bit of this fluorescent yellow. I don't know if I care for that so much as a cloud, but as a possible ground cover, to add a little bit more detail in some of these areas, why not? Actually, for that, we'll add a little bit more boldness to it. And then we'll add some nice, so it's a little bit bolder and brighter than the marks that we made in the back, so it helps to bring out the depth. So there we go. We have a little bit more going on by adding a little bit of yellow and purple to start. So I want to start thinking about what this might be. There's some rocks here, I'm thinking. Maybe they're in the river itself. Maybe they come into the land some, and I think we'll be able to make that work. What's this? Yeah, it was weird. I'm not sure. What I was thinking here. I know what I was thinking. I was thinking I wanted to have some sort of an abstract extension of some of our colors that we'd have to work with at the end to create some kind of a challenge. And so there we have it. I think I know what I might do. All right, so now I'm going to take some of this other purple, this darker purple that's a little bit cooler, which is to say a little bit more blue than this more bright violet purple. Adding a little bit to the white, you can see that nice purple color. It's already in itself would make, well, that's a little bold, but not a bad cloud cover. So now we're going to add a little bit of our, again, we're sticking with our slightly cooler yellow here. We're going to add it in here, and we're going to get a little bit more of that purple. What are we? A little bit purple, a little bit of yellow, a little bit for Santa Claus, a little bit more for Santa Claus, a little bit more for Santa Claus. And let's see, here we got very similar colors to some of the ones that we used in here. Let's see, I think I want something a little different for my, if we're going to work in the sky some, I want more purple than I've been using. I really want to bring that element out, I think. And then when we add some white, we'll see a bigger difference. Definitely feeling a little bit more on the gray side than brown with this here, adding that little extra bit of purple. We're going to add quite a bit on this side. And then we'll mix it in a little bit here with some of our white to get another tone. Then we'll start seeing if we can add some. It is dark. It is still a little bit warm. So here we go. We're going to go for it. So I'm adding quite a lot of purple this time. Still sticking with this darker purple. Add more white. We're not going to need tons and tons of yellow in this round here. Even lighter still. Well, that kind of blends in a little bit more and connects with some of our clouds, actually quite a bit, that we made with the green and the red. So we're going to add a little bit here for some shadow because it does fit all right. And then we're going to come back in with some white and blend it in a little bit more. Whoops, getting a little jiggy here. So some of these areas I could use a little bit of, not only a little bit of shadow maybe or visual interest, but that could use a little bit more of this slight color into some of this color that we used yesterday or the last time we worked on this. So now I'll come in with some white just right on the edge of my brush and adding some nice little white. And just, you know what this is doing? It's sort of adding another layer of cloud on top of the clouds. We're not, like I said, we want to evoke the idea, the feeling, and the image of clouds, the relationship we have with the visualization of clouds. We're not trying to exact any clouds. We're not trying to really emulate a particular type of cloud group or idea or feeling per se. So adding, one thing I am doing though is I'm bringing out a little bit of fuzziness. I hope I am anyways. I'm bringing a little bit more distance into some of these clouds near the bottom. So it feels like these clouds might be more over here and these are up in front of us. And see, immediately by adding this, I can see it. It created a huge difference in the depth. I like this, coming in just a little bit more highlight in some areas. Some big highlight where we've got some bigger areas up here. Just to bring that out a little bit, blend in some. And then I'll come in and do my swirls just to hit some areas. We want the cloud coverage to be around. We don't want it to feel like it's kind of contrived in one area. And I like this in here. That's really nice. That really helps to bring in some depth. And then a little bit more, a little bit like that. A little bit more blended. And add a little bit of this dark purple. Oh, I like that. I like how we've gotten a little bit of purple-fied in the clouds here, considering some of the other colors we've used. That looks pretty nice. Not too bad. Not too bad. A little bit more in here. And then, you know, if I was doing this painting as more of a regular piece, I would be doing my complementary mixes like this, but I'd be going back in with a little bit more green or blue or you know, these other colors, and I'm trying to maintain this exercise as is with just using each pair of color, you know, one pair of color at a time, one layer each. But as a way of you where the, you know, that you can see some of the options that you have with acrylic paint, the things you can do with mixing your different colors and how you can arrange things on a canvas. So I think there's a lot of value in these. So let's try playing around a little bit here with some of our other purples and yellows. I'm taking some of this warmer purple fluorescent and this warmer darker yellow. I'm allowing my brush, in fact, I'm specifically getting paint and stuff that was on my brush out to mix in with this, so I'm not cleaning my brush on purpose to get a little bit of that yellow and some of the purple and the stuff that we were using before in there. This is an interesting sand kind of a color. You know what? I'm going to switch brushes here for some of the things that I'm doing. I'm going to go do something a little bit smaller. And just adding a little bit more. I like this color here. Again, the more we add some of these highlights like this, the more it brings out some depth in what we're doing. Maybe there's not that many in here. We'll make them a little thinner. What are we doing in here? So let's make these little rock kind of formations in here. And there's another one that follows here. Okay. So we'll start with these few, adding a little bit of white, coming in with some highlight, a little bit more, especially near the edges where the other rocks might start. And then I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to come in with a little bit of dark. So taking some of this dark purple now, going to add it into my area right in here. Come in a little bit underneath. And then we're going to do a look that's more of a mid-tone dark, and then adding some more of this purple. Ooh, that's nice. It's a nice shadow color for what we're doing. And then where I've got the lighter area on this one rock kind of formation, I'm going to put right above it some of this darker color, and that's going to help to really pop that out some. So the shadow of this rock, and we want to make sure that it does look like it's more behind this other one, so we won't be quite as detailed or as bright in our highlights of it. All right, and we've got one more here to work with. A little bit more in the distance, but not so much that it's not going to have some distinct areas, highlights, and such. A little bit of dark. Come up with a little bit of light. Now I'm mixing a little bit more of the white and the purple mix in here, so it will give it a little bit more distance. And all right, so we have these kind of little rocks hanging out in here. We did at least a little something with this area. All right, that works for now, I think, with what we got going on here. So we've got some work to do in this area if we're going to have this more of a finished kind of a piece. So now taking some of the purple again and white, I'm going to come in. Yeah, I'm not going to care for this color. So what I'm going to do now, I'm taking some of this purple, this darker purple, and I'm not mixing it with any of my yellow or my muds or other colors. I'm going to come in, I'm going to make a little section with some white. And then I'll come in a little bit here and there. I like that better. Certainly for now. Adding a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of other color interest. Matches some of the other colors in the sky and in the piece. You know, adding it to the water, create a little bit more vibrancy to it. And it's always nice. Water can be so many colors, is so many colors at once. So it's nice to add things like that. And just kind of bringing some of that color in to this weird area we got going on in here. I want to see, I'm curious. I want to see if I can get some semblance of a decent green with these two, with this lighter yellow and darker purple. Not too bad for a start. Let's make it a little darker. And for, okay, that can work, I think. And then we can have a little bit of lighter area for some highlights on it. Okay, yeah, for like more distant foliage up here, and we have this nice little edge. So the river is coming across these interesting little areas with some stuff going on. Some rocks and some little islands. So we'll make our own little bit of foliage here with our almost green from mixing purple and yellow, and it's because it's a more of a, you can see it's a lighter almost more green yellow and a darker, more bluish purple, and that can help us to find these types of greens. And I want to add some in these areas. Not everything has to be perfect green, you know, like in here we have some distance, maybe to different kinds of plants. I'm going to add a little bit of this yellow to highlight in here, but that's going to really pop these out compared to some of these. So I'm going to be a little bit more subtle about it, just to give it a little interest though, and finish something. So we've got some kind of trees, it looks like tree things coming up over here there. So what we'll do then, this will be nice. We're gonna add some brown. We're gonna make some bark or some, you know, bark color, and add some tree trunks and such. That's a pretty good dark brown to start with, I think, and a little bit more, a little of this yellow in here. Yeah, that's richer. I like that. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, that'll be great. I'm just gonna come in here with a little bit of indication of some branches with the brush like that, subtle. Here a little bit stronger, still going to come in with more green. So there's somewhere on these little rocky islands we got some little kind of trees growing, so they feel like they're in the middle, but like they're closer than these, but there's still a bit of a distance, which is nice. So there we go. And have a little bit more of this brown in here. So the river that kind of keeps on going, except it looks like it's getting stuck. Now, if I would go back and use a little bit more blue in here, we might have, you know, it might look a little bit more rivery or whatnot, but that's okay. I'll add a little bit of my lighter purple kind of mixes and the colors that we have access to now. Little of this yellow, so this is going to help. Add a little bit of this yellow in here and then some more in here. It'll help to make this connect a little bit more, considering we aren't using our blue. And just a few bolder ones in here. It's almost too much here. All right, I kind of like that for a vibration on our little river here. And come in with a little bit more purple. Well, especially kind of in here, purple, and then in here, that purple. And And missed some blue there. That's okay. And then what we'll do is take some of this green, purple, yellow, green we got going on here. Add a little bit more up in here so we can, there, that actually helps a lot because it helps to make it feel like there's some flow going on in here, but it's a little bit, you know, muddied up or whatnot. But it breaks it up a little with this other piece of foliage kind of going on. All right, and then let's add a little bit more of our green color. Some of these areas where we could use it there. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of this in here too, just to bring it back some. We don't want it to be too bold. Remember, we wanted some more green in here. It's neat. That's working all right. That's not too bad for what we got. It helps to bring us our distance. And okay, gonna take some of this brown again. Add a little bit more here to give a little more ground. Same thing in here. And then it'll come in with a little bit again with, whoops, gonna make that bolder. Nice highlighted color a little bit where it's a little darker. Well, you know, not too bad considering we had a mess here purposefully that required a fair amount of blue and green, and those are colors we're not using right now. We did all right making this work. We're gonna add a little bit of this color in here, just a little bit, not that much, just to connect it even in the water, because sometimes there's some little browns. You can see little rocks on the bottom and stuff, just to add a little bit more of a speckle dynamic and a little bit more interest. So we have that color used in other areas. A little bit here just to fill in some of these whiter areas. You know what? This is not too shabby a piece. I think I want to bring out, without going overboard, a little bit more light in here because it just didn't look quite right. Huh, now I'm getting a little jiggy with it. I don't think I really want that there. Okay. So, that's all right, but I will add a little bit here. Just these little highlights in our trees, just to give it a little bit extra. Then I'll come back and add just a little bit more. All right, that'll be enough of that. It's kind of in here because I didn't care for that mark. All right. Little bit just in some areas where it feels a little monotonous. Okay, give it a little bounce. Honestly, look at that. That is not too shabby a little piece for what it is. I know one thing I want to do. So now we're going to come in with some white and add a few little bold whites, kind of like a, well, even, you know what I want to do? I'm going to use this here fun big brush. Make sure it's a little bit drained of water. And we're going to come in, and the reason we're using this is because it has these kind of bristles like that, and then we can take some of this white and just, see that? Make it feel a little bit more splashy. I don't like what I did up here, whoops, with all that bold white, but that's okay. We're going to make it feel, oh, that's already so much better because it feels like the water is splashing and, you know, creating a, you know, the type of thing that will make the rest of it look a little bit fuzzy or, you know, bouncing around. You know what I mean, right? Looking at the river, and it's not like you get very clear shots all the time because there's so much splash and this and that and mist and light that can, you know, change things. So I like that. That works all right for me in there. And then I'll come in a little bit in here, and then again, same thing with this big brush, just kind of take it in, take a little out. And that's probably be about good there. I want to add a little bit more white in here and a little bit more of that. Take some out. and so on. Okay, one more thing I want to do. A little bit more of that, again, bolder white on top of some of these other whites that we faded some. Look at that. That already makes it a little bit better. Oops. All right, not too bad. I do want to fix a little, or add a little bit of brown, I should say, right in here, just to give a little bit more distinction with what's going on there. Maybe a little darker too, I think I need to make myself, or to make it feel like it's going to work. Yeah, it's much more like it, much more like it. Add a little bit more in here. Again, we want this to feel more in the distance, so we'll add some of our color in the front where it can have some good effect as being bold and strong. All right, that brings that little bit out a lot more, but we also want it darker. Do that, add some purple, just a touch of this darker yellow, just a touch, so it's not pure purple. We want to keep its darkness. Come in. Yeah, I like that because now this pops this out a lot more. There's this peninsula coming out. It adds a little bit more interest. Not too much. I want to overdo it. So here we go. There's some things that you can do at mixing complementary colors together to create a landscape painting. And I think I'm pretty happy with this for what it is. We could come in if we wanted to, you know, and with our greens and maybe add a little bit here or touch this up here. I like the way this works. I like how it definitely evokes some rocks and trees and stuff in a river going through, but it's not crystal clear or perfect or exact. I really like that. It gives it just a nice element in here. It does play pretty nicely. This roundness, some of these roundnesses like this, you can see these curves working nice with the cloud. So that's helpful for our composition, the way this comes in like that. That's cool. Around, we got something here too that's nice. This shift that goes for the eye from here to here that comes up. It's good stuff, and like that. So yeah, you know, we could add a little bit more blue or some things in here. I like that actually. Cover up some of this white, but we don't have to. You know, you don't want to get too carried away. Oh, maybe there is a little ground coming out there, so we can do that. But honestly, not a bad little piece. You could come in with more highlights here and there if you wanted. Some white specks, just to add a little bit more interest of, you know, what water might do, sparkly. And it also changes up. We have a lot of the same types of strokes in here. So adding something that's a little smaller and a little bit more distinct helps. All right, that makes me happy. So, very good. I had some fun. Oh my goodness, one more thing. Huh. I want this darker. Okay. I want this dark under here too. It's still going to look like it's coming up from behind these things. I want it to get down in a little bit more. So then I need this a little bit and this both a little bit darker. All right, that's cool. And that kind of brings out a little of the purple in it, and I like that. A little bit in here, not that much, but that's okay. Yep, I'm going to call this good after I do this. A little bit more in the clouds just to give us a little bit more dance connection. Yeah, all right, cool. Okay, now we're calling it good. All right, so we had fun. We added a nice little bit of yellow and purple and white into this. It wasn't quite as bold as when we added our blues and obviously our greens, but it came in and it helped to bring in some nice browns and some nice colors to balance off what we were doing, to tie in this area that we left ambiguous, and I think it works pretty nicely here. Even, you know, with adding some of these extra shapes and colors, it didn't really change from what we had in here. I really like the way our purple and yellow combinations, especially the purple and white combinations with a little yellow worked in here with the clouds, added a little bit into the water, and I think we had fun doing it and showing that you can do all kinds of things with a very minimal amount of colors and limited palette, as well as with experimenting with only using certain colors one time and then going over it the next time, only using certain colors and challenging yourself. So we've had a lot of fun not only doing this painting, but doing these shows, and I am going to continue them. This is going to be the last one for the first season, shall we call it, of our presentation of Paint Here Now. And we'll be back soon with a little bit better video quality is the plan, and some technical work. And we want to make these better, more interesting, more accessible, and more enjoyable. So we're going to be back soon. I appreciate everyone who's watched this, who's liked or commented, and has benefited from this. I've certainly benefited myself. So thanks again. Keep making art. Thank you all for your ear and your time.